Next, we're going to go to Dan Sullivan and Joe, and Joe's with Hiawatha Broadband. He's going to share his experience with cnHeat. And at this point, I think I'm going to try and make him presenter, and he's going to share with you his screen and kind of walk you through what he's done with cnHeat and some of the really cool stuff he's found and discovered with it. So let's try and do that, and bear with us for a moment while we do it. Looks good to me. I hope everyone can see that. And Joe,
Really
can
good.
we hear you?
Yeah,
Yep.
man, I see it fine. Real quickly, hi everyone, I'm Dan Sullivan, and if you need to reach out to me, just use my email at daniel.sullivan@cambiumnetworks.com. What we have for you today is Joe Glenday of Hiawatha Broadband. They have a 98 site cnHeat system, and what Joe's going to do is he's going to share with you the benefits he's had with cnHeat, both just in general and now with COVID-19. And just as a one more reminder is everything that Joe shows you here is for our line of sight 3 gig and 5 gig. End of April, we'll be adding to this near line of sight and non-line of sight support for 3 gigahertz. So all you CBRS customers, we got you covered. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Joe so he can show you what he's been experiencing.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to tell everyone how things have been working. So my name is Joe Glendy. I run the wireless department at Hiawatha, located in the Midwest. And one of the operational challenges we have in our area is we have some pretty, difficult terrain to deal with, as you can kind of see from my screenshot here. Out west where we aren't, it's very flat. There's very few trees, and things are pretty easy going. But as you get over to our areas, we're dealing with a lot of trees, a lot of hills, a lot of valleys, some really, really difficult terrain over here. So the last 5 years, we've been looking for something like this that could help increase our operational efficiencies. As it stands right now, before cnHeat, we were checking for signal at each home before we installed it. We're batting about 50% or so. Coverage area, is about 2 hours end to end. So we have a ton of windshield time when we're doing something like that. But we can't just schedule installs because customer's going to take a day off of work. You're going to waste time with that. They're going to be unhappy if you don't get service there. So we've been looking a long time for a solution like this to help us, with that. So I'll get into cnHeat specifically. A new site we installed over in, we're actually a little bit lower. It's a town called Dodge down here. We have had, probably close to 80, 90 calls from this town down here. And there's just walls and barriers and trees, and it seemed almost impossible to get down there. So cnHeat specifically helped me identify a tower site that was nearby an adjacent tower up here up on the ridge that we had no idea it could see. We had no way of really telling. It didn't look like it would be able to hit it. But as soon as we fired up cnHeat, and you see the coverage map here, it still looks a little bit iffy, right? Until you zoom in, and with near pinpoint accuracy, it allowed us to find, a spot on this customer silo that we were able to backhaul down to, and then relay a signal into the town that we were looking to get. So, had we had cnHeat 5 years ago, we would probably have 100 more passings on our network already paying us for the service, because this helped guide us to expand to get down into that area. So you can turn on the heat map here. You see you have your sliders here. It's a cool new feature they added. This is height above clutter. So you could simulate, if I were to put up a tower, where would I get signal from that tower? Where could I place it? In this case, we're using an existing silo. So I used about 5 feet above the railing. And that's about the point where we started getting signal at the harvester silo there. So you click on your point, and you get a nice readout of which towers are closest, the distance, and also the signal you should be expecting and at what height you need to be at to get that signal. So even on the top of that silo, I needed 4 feet to get line of sight to that other backhaul point that we're coming from. So without cnHeat, we would have never found this, and we'd be missing 100 subs in an area where they only have access to HughesNet satellite right now. So we're doing very, very well in that area right now. So that was a specific example of how cnHeat very recently helped us expand our network. So the other benefit that you guys talk about more often is being able to determine if you can service a customer or not. So I'll find show all here. There are a lot of customers calling us this week. I'm sure people on the calls or on the call listening here, you're probably getting swamped too by this. But after this COVID virus started spreading, employees are more and more working from home. They're finding their DSL isn't adequate for what they need. So we had more calls in the last 2 days than we typically get in a month. So luckily last week Dan came through and got our 93 site cnHeat program deployed, and I'm getting before noon I think I had 30 calls in, and I'm here approving them from the office. We're not sending anyone out, no windshield time. I'm able to approve immediately if customers can get service. Here's this person actually did call in yesterday, and I actually went on site just to verify, and everything cnHeat said was spot on, down to about a 3-foot radius, which is what I think it's based upon, is about 1 meter LiDAR data that they have. So we're saving tons of windshield time. I have approved or denied 40 or 50 people that have called in the last 2 days without having to head to a single site. So far we've verified at least 50 or 60 sites, and we have yet to find an error with cnHeat in some of the coverages it's showing. It's been spot on for us for about 50 confirmed site specs so far. So that's cool. And the sliders here, you can dictate, I think this is set to about 71. You can set a filter here. So if you only want to, if you have a very noisy environment, you could maybe set that to 63. And then you're only going to get the coverage area of, what's proposed at about 63 or 65. So you can also switch views. This customer was an easy one to hook up, but you could switch views to a height above clutter view instead of signal strength view, and you can sort of kind of get the hot spots on their property. The darker the areas, the higher they are, the more signal you could get. You could also use this to find spots to put a tower, or we're CLEC, so we could actually set a utility pole in the right of way if we needed to, and we could sort of pick the best spot to do that. Once this loads up here, my computer's a little slow. So we'll just hide all there. But yeah, that's been our experience with cnHeat. I cannot stress how lucky we are that we ordered it when we did, so we can handle this large influx of calls from the COVID virus. Everybody's home, everybody's working from home. Our networks are all getting slammed. So we're working on some capacity things, and I have my guys, up on the towers. We're expanding, we're growing instead of sitting behind a windshield checking for signal at customers' homes. When the customer calls in, our customer service reps can actually, approve or deny a customer. So I don't even have to see it anymore. They type the address in up here, and they're approving them on the call. No more customers waiting a week or 2 weeks for us to get out there. Or right now, it would honestly probably take us a month to get out to all these site specs and checking for signal. So the operational efficiency that cnHeat is allowing us to operate with is nothing short of astounding, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Thanks very much, Joe. Appreciate
I
the testimonial.
had another question for you,
yeah.
Joe, real quick. Tell me about the different types of towers do you use? I'm sure it's all Cambium, but maybe you use something else.
Yeah, so that's something to touch on. Right now, we do have some Cambium in our network, but the overwhelming majority of it as of now is actually Ubiquiti AirMax. So we're getting things swapped over to Cambium, but as of right now, this is vendor agnostic. You can have you could Radwin, Mimosa, Ubiquiti. You could have any product in your network and still use cnHeat because it's it's vendor agnostic. It's just 5 gigahertz propagation and soon to be 3. So it's really something. You don't have to be a Cambium user, you know, to use cnHeat. You could have any 5 gigahertz product on the market, and yeah, you can use cnHeat. So right now we're Ubiquity. We're looking to do maybe some adjustments this year with that, but yeah, it works with everything.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate your help here. And if anybody just need a reminder, you can just reach out to me at daniel.sullivan@cambiumnetworks.com and be able to answer your questions and help you out.